welcome in everyone to the Double Switch Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Curlin, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mike_Curlin. Now, I might sound a little familiar to you. You might hear me on other podcasts and whatnot, but this is actually a new venture of mine. I'll be hosting this bi-weekly going forward. And today, my very first episode on this podcast, I'm able to bring on a very good friend of mine, Zach, who actually writes for Fake Teams, and he's part of the team over there. You can follow him on Twitter at Zach Roto. Zach, long overdue. What's going on, buddy?
This is long overdue. It's been a long time coming. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the pod. And I'm excited to talk to you on a podcast because you know what? We talk every day.
Yeah, it's weird to call a relationship. But in 2019, I guess it's okay to have this type of relationship. We've had this friendship going on now for going on 3 years. We met playing fantasy baseball. And you've always been a step ahead of me, and I think I finally caught up to you on my knowledge base. So
I think you might be ahead of me now.
Well, I think you still have the edge on minor leaguers. You always will, because I'm so focused on the redraft aspect of things, and minor leagues are kind of your thing. Which, again, I guess you could tell the people here what you kind of do for Fake Teams real quick, and some of the stuff you're working on and what you've just released.
Well, yeah, I write for Fake Teams, and I've been off and on. I don't have a set schedule of writing, but if something strikes me and I want to write about it, I will. My focus is what I'm really interested in is the minor league aspect and the prospects that are closer to the big leagues. So I wrote articles about the going into this year, your top 10 prospects to help you this year, and I did a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, so you I was saying, that's why you had the edge a couple years ago on me. You were on guys before I knew, before it was common knowledge, or somebody like me knew it was common knowledge. You were on guys like Bellinger before Bellinger broke out. You were big on Jordan or Jordan, whatever he pronounces his name to be. You were big on him this year. At least when he officially was when he was getting hot in the minors, you were way more confident in it than I was, and that just goes with your knowledge base and what you like to look into. So again, I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad, and again, this is way overdue. Now, a little bit behind, I guess a little bit of a personal thing is a lot of people don't realize, because again, me and Zach have known each other for going on 3 years now, 3 seasons. It's kind of he doesn't want to admit it, but it's kind of because of him I've even gotten into this. I was not I always wanted to do this, and we kind of always joked about doing a podcast just for our league. And then the opportunity arose, and he actually started writing this year before I got into it. I got kind of jealous. I was like, dang, Zach's doing this? I want to give it a shot. So I found a way, and now obviously it's kind of turned into what it's turned into. I write for Fantrax. I host my own podcast, Bases Loaded Pod. I'm hosting this podcast. I'm a busy man these days, man. And it really is all because of you, and I don't care what you say, so I'm really thankful for you kind of pushed me, man.
I feel like, last night, a proud papa. Juan Soto hit the walk-off hit, and then after the game he was interviewed, his dad tackled him to the ground. And Soto has achieved more than his dad has. So I feel like you've surpassed me. You in terms of being active in the industry and your knowledge and everything. So I'm proud of you for what you've done, and because you've always said this is what you want to do, and you've put way more into it. The effort level you put into is unmatched, man. It's great what you're doing, and I thank you because we push each other, I think. But I'd also be remiss to not thank Fake Teams like Heath and Pete and all the guys there, even like Joe. They've made it a lot easier to get into, I guess you call it the industry. I don't really consider myself an expert per se, but it's easier than you think. And you know what? I don't want to, I guess, make light of what you've done, because what you've done honestly is very impressive. And I think you're a great analyst. And I think you're doing an amazing job. So
well,
I'm just happy to be here.
I hear you, man.
I'm happy to be a guest on your show.
Yeah, no, and I'm obviously happy to have you. This won't be the last time, but a little bit. This is popping your cherry, man. It's your first ever podcast, so actually happy. I'm happy I had the chance to do this. But
all right, be gentle, man.
I mean, I know we praise each other enough now. People are probably like, all right, time to move on from the pillow talk. Again, you're right. Fake Teams, that's my fault. Again, I'm being given this opportunity to be a part of this show that, they're looking for a host, and I have a little bit of availability somehow, and if anybody's really interested, just a quick touch on what you said. If anybody's honestly really interested in this industry, it is super welcoming. I mean, you have people like me, yourself, and others that we were just in that position where we weren't sure we were going to do this, and now, I mean, we have done this and quite successfully to a point, and there's a lot of room to grow, and it's just an awesome, welcoming industry. So
And we lean on each other. It's not a like I don't feel like it's a competitive thing at all. I think your success is my success. There's room for both of us to achieve what we want to achieve here.
And with that being said, this is episode 14 of the Double Switch podcast. Again, I'm super appreciative of Fake Teams for taking me on. This will be a bi-weekly podcast, and we're getting started first thing. Season just wrapped up. Playoffs are starting, but we had some keeper questions we wanted to go ahead and discuss. I mean, it's keeper season. This is the time of year where some people have to make decisions. Some people have to, that's why I just say make decisions on. And
my keeper leagues are my favorite type of leagues.
Yeah,
and you know what? We don't play in keeper leagues together. I don't think for baseball, but they are my favorites. And a roto keeper league is the be all end all for me because I like to play leagues that you bank on the upside. Rotos are very much an upside game. It's sort of like you don't play poker to finish fifth. You play roto to finish first. Same idea. And I think any type of edge you can get in a league is you can play on that very well. So for roto, you want to. I think playing the upside card gives you an edge over someone else that's not. And then playing in a keeper league, you can always get that edge. So that's why I'm always on the Pete Alonsos, the Glasnows per se, because those are your upside players. And you know what? Your younger prospect type players are the players that most likely are going to give you that upside edge. So that's why and that's sort of to answer the question you asked before. Why do you get into the prospect type keeper type league? Why does that interest you more? And that is sort of why, because I feel like you can gain that edge is more easily attainable and makes more sense to compete that way in a keeper league.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, my first ever Dynasty League was because of you again. And a lot of it was just for my own research to kind of get, the grasp on the Mariners, on the minor leaguers. Some of them are Mariners, like Noel V. Marte, but like these are like I've been playing catch up. I'm finally kind of there. Like now, like next year, I have got eyes on guys that aren't your typical Joe Adel's, your Luis Robert's, like the obvious. You put out a tweet the other day, and I know this is kind of off the cuff, but if you had to pick, let's say three names next year, you're going in to draft season, throwing maybe $1 on them in auctions or late round flyer. Doesn't matter what league type, just three guys that might be kind of in the peripherals, like that should probably be taken just for the upside, but that are minor leaguers that might have a chance of breaking camp, like maybe like a Tatis or Alonso. Like, are there a couple guys that are just not the obvious that you're really interested in?
Well, yeah, and I just this morning an article came out that I wrote. It's called the Keeper League Primer, and it goes through players you should target in different size leagues. So I guess what we're sort of getting at here is sort of your mid-sized league where you keep 8 to 15 guys, just sort of dart throws that might, like you said, like build up steam from like now October through draft season to the end of March. Because you saw Alonso built a lot of steam at the end of the draft season this year, like in March. He was going for $1 or $2, and then by the end of March, he'd be going for almost 10. Same with Tatis. And those guys, you know what? Right now, I don't want to take away your guy because I'll let you mention him. But
thank you.
Deivi Garcia, I think he has a lot of upside in his K9. Nate Pearson, a lot of upside. Jorge Mateo on the A's.
Sneaky,
Drew Waters.
Man. That's a sneaky one there.
It is, yeah. You know what? We didn't talk about him before, I don't think, but when we were on Twitter, and then Bruce Gratterall on the Twins. I think he could earn a spot in the starting rotation. He throws 100 miles an hour, almost as fast as Nate Pearson. But those are the guys sort of off the cuff. I don't know. You probably have a couple off the top of your head as well.
Well, and you touched on a lot of them, and those are guys that I honestly wasn't necessarily eyeing come draft season. Those are guys that obviously, I know like Seth Beer's a guy that he was a guy I thought about, then I forgot about him. Then Joe Gentile mentioned him the other day on Twitter. I was like, that's right, that's one of the guys. So like Seth Beer, I think, has a legitimate shot at being called up or being part of the opening day roster / called up. And this isn't just keeper relevant. This is also redraft relevant because these guys will be late round flyers or guys you should keep on your watch list depending on the
or
depth
an
of the league.
or in an NA spot on
If
an
you
NA
have
spot.
those, yeah. But one guy I really want to focus, like my biggest, like he will be on all my teams. I will fight you for him, and I will outbid you if I have to. But that's my guy, Dylan Carlson. I've been on him for a while now. I made sure to have him. I have him in every dynasty league. I'm pretty sure. I think I traded him away in one for a win now piece that did not work out. So I'm really regretting it. I think it was in a Zach Wheeler deal back when Wheeler was dealing. Again, I was trying to win now, and you got to give up a little bit to go for it, and it didn't work out. It was in our Dynasty Roto League, I believe. Anyway, if you take a look at what he's done, and he actually got the call to AAA, and although his walk rate and K rate kind of dipped, he's pretty much typically a 20% K rate guy, a 10% walk rate guy, and offers 20/20 upside like floor. It looks like at least what he from his breakout last year. He's close to like a 280 hitter and just a solid all around like on base guy. And I've already heard reports of him fighting for the starting outfield spot next year over there in St. Louis. So he's a guy that if you can go get him relatively cheap in dynasty leagues right now, or if he's available in your keeper leagues, he might be worth one of those last keeper spots. Just for
I highly doubt if he's available in a dynasty league, but if he is, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah, in a keeper league, you know what? He's one of those guys that I think he'll be drafted next year in redraft leagues.
He should, and it's gonna be my team. I'm gonna have him ranked. He might be a fringe top 200 guy. I might be really aggressive on him, but then I'm gonna have to dumb him down. It's really hard to get ranks going right now because you just don't know anything. You really don't. Spring, like you have to really, I'll put him out there and then I'll revamp him as this offseason goes. But I'm going to be pretty aggressive on him. Remember Mercado? I was super high on him, but last year there was no way I had him ranked inside my top 300 initially, but I should have. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I learned my lesson.
It's tough. No, but I agree. And you know what? Like I said before, it's upside. Like, am I going to draft Dylan Carlson at the end of my draft or throw $2-3 on him over, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a player. I don't know why I'm thinking of Adam Jones, but he's probably not going to even be drafted. But like a Jay Bruce, hell, I'm going to take I'll take Carlson over those guys.
Exactly.
Any of those guys.
And that's my point. Like, and again, it goes back. I have to remind myself that it's okay to be a little aggressive and a little against the grain because these are the type of picks that if I'm going to get him, like if I can get him in round 20 instead of 25, like because I've again, we do auctions. Me and you are big on auctions, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't care for auctions at all. So I try to throw rounds in there. But in a 12-team mix, I will stash him on my bench and take him around that pick at round 20. But people are like, oh well, what about this guy? I want upside that late. If I miss on somebody with a solid floor, like now I'm over here blanking on names like a Corey Dickerson who showed up late last year.
Good example.
Like somebody like that. Like although Dickerson looked great, and I'm sure he could be good, I want a chance on a guy who can be a difference maker, not a guy that that is kind of a known commodity who had a little bit of an outbreak this year. And this kind of goes into the whole juice ball thing. They've already discussed addressing the ball, so I'm gonna rank players, assuming that home runs are going down. Like it's gonna be a big for me. I'm gonna kind of like Ketel Marte has kind of started falling my rankings. Not huge, but someone like him where I think 38 turns into closer to 30 or high 20s. Like that's where it's like I'm starting to tame down some of my rankings just based on what I've already heard about the juice ball being addressed.
It's hard to argue that.
So again, Dylan Carlson and two guys I'm going to mention real quick, injury guys. I'm going to write an article about this because I think it's a little underrated. There's two guys coming off injury, and I named them both on Twitter that I think are strong candidates to be stashed. Now, if you want somebody who's like a solid high floor guy that's going to give you a lot of runs and great in OBP and points leagues, that's Andrew McCutchen coming off his ACL. He's going to slot right back into that top three, I believe. At least I believe in that lineup. And there's at least 100 runs there. That average is okay, about 260, 265, but the on base is usually a solid 350. So it's I feel like that's a solid, again, depends how deep your league is, how many keepers you get, but he's somebody that might be sneaky and probably might be available. And then you have Lance McCullers that people even I forgot. Like there was a time where you were choosing between McCullers and Paxton. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that decision was happening.
You know what? McCullers might be a reliever though.
That is my only concern. But what over who? Like what? Whitley, Greinke, Verlander. Assuming
I got it. Hey, I've got a name, and you know what I like. It's in my article, and I can get into some of the names that we were just talking about to maybe add to your McCutcheons because he is on my list as well. Christian Javier on the Astros. His canine and his
Sorry, go
canine
ahead.
is his canine is ridiculous, and he could earn himself a spot over some of the Astros pitchers next year. Like even Forrest Whitley, there's a chance that Javier is starting in the bigs before Whitley, and he's number one with a bullet for those deeper league non-top 100 prospects to be stashing in your dynasty leagues on my list.
Yeah, I honestly am not too familiar with him. I won't sit here and try to talk him up. I'm gonna let you do that. I was just looking at McCullers, and man, I mean, if he's a middle reliever, he might still have relevance in roto leagues next year, but he's not worth keeping this year. He'd be somebody you draft mid rounds like a Peacock or not Peacock, a Preston. Is that the name Preston? Why am I thinking Preston?
Um, well,
The
Peacock,
reliever for the
Brad Peacock on the Astros, right?
no, I know Peacock, but what's
Oh, Presley.
Presley? Thank you. I was
Yeah.
blanking. I feel like McCullers has that multi-inning, high upside role. I mean, I'm just looking at some of his numbers. Like he was really showing improvements in 2018 before the injury, as far as like all his ratios go. A little bit down on the Ks, but
Right. And in the article that I just wrote, he's on the list. I have 12 guys that aren't prospects in deeper dynasty formats that were actually getting dropped. And I can just quickly read off them. McCullers, McCutcheon, Cespedes, and I have in brackets. I know. You never know, but Cespedes, he's not rostered anymore.
he's like 40 years old.
Yeah, I know. He should probably not be. I agree. I agree. He probably shouldn't be on this list.
But he's part of that list. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I know. I don't like him, but
No, I'm saying like, I agree. Like he does belong on that list, just not a high priority on it.
yeah, Tyon, Jameson Tyon. He might even be on the list above this because he is probably the best player on this list.
He's gonna be out all of next year though, so it's really tough.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that. So yeah, in that case, yeah, he probably does fit here. Brad Zimmer in the Indians. I know your boy Mercado is decreasing his value, but he's still there. He still has 30 stolen base upside. Greg Polanco, I know you were on him big time.
I love me some Polanco.
Domingo Santana, Aaron Hicks, just injured players. Even Ian Happ, until recently, he was doing nothing, and now he still might not be rostered. Very similarly to Clint Frazier, Taijuan Walker, and even Michael Pineda because of injury. That's sort of my list of fringe guys in deep leagues that are sort of getting forgotten about now. But like it's not over. It's not over for them. These players could be very valuable at some point later.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just thinking. I'm like, we've been like, this wasn't supposed to happen, but of course we got off on a long tangent and we haven't gotten to any of the questions. And it's funny because I want to mention I'm in the middle of a deep dive article, and I told you off air I have a guy that I know you will not be touching next year probably, but I am making a case that you need to buy back in on him. Now you wanted some guesses. Let me give you. Okay, he's a lefty. That's not big enough.
Is he a hitter?
He's a hitter. Dude. I explain this to Fantrax. I explain this like my hitting analysis is 10 times better than my pitching analysis. My pitching analysis isn't bad, but I'm definitely it's like you know when you have your strengths and weaknesses. My strengths are clearly the hitter side of things. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a hitter. But yes, this time it's definitely a hitter. It's an NL. It's in the NL Central lefty.
Okay.
And real quick for it's sometimes it's hard to think this quickly.
Schwarber.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because you hate him, so that was easy for you.
Well, I don't hate him, but yeah, you're right. I'm never on him.
A big thing, and I'm not going to go too into it because again, I'm writing about him. But if you take the time to go look at a Statcast page, and I'm not all in on Statcast data, but there are a lot of tangible changes going on. And I did some homework. I stayed up wild last night. I looked up videos, and there's a legit change in his batting stance from the first half to the second half, and with it came change in production. And I don't know if you've read my stuff, if you listen to me talk, I am so big on tangible change. If there's production that follows a tangible change, just like Tyone with his slider usage, stuff like that, I am usually all in on him. And the draft price will allow me to take that chance. He's going to be outside the top 100. He'll be going in anywhere between rounds 8 and 12, roughly, because he had such a strong second half. And I'm breaking him down really well, including what I found. Again, and this is where I feel proud because I actually did the homework. I didn't depend on anybody to tell me that he changed his swing. I looked at the numbers, saw some stuff. I'm like, let me go see. And there was a tangible swing change, obvious to the eye. And I'm not a scout. And he's just, dude, I mean, he's putting more balls in opposite field, so the shift might happen less for him. And if he keeps this approach, man, it's just, I think he can be a really solid. He's definitely a late round. He's definitely gonna be a later power source, and you could build around him too. He allows you. He's like a 40 home run guy almost, and he allows you to build up your batting average up until him in case the batting average falls out. But the strong second half paired with the changes, just I'm smitten. I'm falling in love with this guy.
You know what? You're kind of selling me on this.
Okay. I don't
No,
want to sell you on this. He's mine.
No, you know what? But I agree with what you're saying. And you know what? In our auctions, I'm never on that tier of players like the Schwarbers, like next year. But like your players, like your Nelson Cruz or your Lorenzo Cain, like mid $10 to $15 guys, because I'm usually break the bank on some guys I really love that are stud, and then take the upside sleepers like your Glasnows for a couple of bucks. That's what I usually do. So I'm never on that price of player. So again, I probably won't be on your Schwarbers next year. I won't be on players like that. But no, I do agree with what you're saying, and especially if he's going to get some consistent playing time and he's more removed from that injury. You know what you're saying? You know what? Like he could move up draft boards really quick.
Well, and everyone talks about how bad he struggles versus lefties, and I'm going to highlight this as well. Again, whoever's listening to this before my article drops will have a sneak peek. But he didn't. Don't get me wrong, he did not hit well against lefties last year. 217, I think it was on the year. But if you look at just the second half, he hit 240 against them. And if he can hit 240 against lefties, that is huge for him.
Yeah,
that's absolutely. So I'm not. It's hard to say he's going to hit 240 on a full season against lefties, but it's still growth. And although he's not young anymore, he's still relatively young. So it's not too late for him to kind of progress in his career, especially coming off what was supposed to be kind of almost like an elite prospect pedigree. Not elite, but like definitely a solid prospect pedigree and highly touted. And so that's why it's like I'm buying back in. And if you're in points or OBP leagues or OPS, he gains that much more value for you. He's somebody you might want to take it inside the top 100 because of the OBP, especially if there's no batting average, because then he hits every category for you except for stolen bases.
Or if you're in an OBP league, you just grabbed Vogelbach in the last round, who walks 100 times.
Vogelbach, man, oh, he hits like 200.
I know, but in an OBP league, he walks 100 times.
I know. That's why, man.
I still hate him. I'll never draft him.
Yeah, well, don't worry. If you're ever in a draft with Joe, he'll never let you have him. Joe ranks them aggressively. So, okay. Da-na-na-na. We are going to get to your questions finally. So, we received, I think, 13 questions. So, I guess we filled a little bit of time until then.
Yeah, just a bit.
We've been at this for about, 15, 20 minutes, whatever. We'll figure it out. Anyway.
At least.
Keeper questions. Now, I reformatted them to be very reader-friendly for us. But I will give credit to the person. So we're going to start with number 1 from @TheRealBanksy81. It's a 10-teamer head-to-head with standard category. So I'm guessing your typical 5x5.
Oh, this is the one that I sort of chimed in and gave a spoiler alert on Twitter.
Yeah, well, and I think we're going to be on the same page here. It's Keep 9. He already has Trout, Acuna, Harper, Lindor, and Cole. Oh, and Story and Jose Ramirez. So of the two so he wants us to choose 2 of the remaining. First of all, humble brag, I'm assuming was what he was getting off with on this. But of the 2 remaining, you have Verlander, Strasburg, and Ketel Marte. I personally am going to go with the pitchers there because of the floor he already has on the hitting side. I
agree with you. I think Verlander's a no-brainer, and I just want to bring up the point that this is the same point I made to you before, and in my article is that in a shallower league, 10 teams, where you're going to have a lot of turnover, you're going to be able to find that next. Wander Franco, or in this case, Tatis. Don't worry about age. Like I'll take Verlander even over your Clevingers or Biebers, because you know what? He is a top 4 starting pitcher right now. And you know what? There's going to be turnover. And look at your team already. This guy is clearly a good player. Humble brag. He's got all these studs. So he's going to have no problem in this league finding your next stud. So forget about Marte. I agree.
Yeah, and again, it's hard because I understand why I put Ketel Marte there, but with his particular team of layout, it makes Marte. It's crazy to say, but Marte's not a keeper for him. You get those pitchers, and you pretty much. I don't see how you lose in this league with assuming health, obviously. But
yeah, I don't think it even matters. I think you should win this league regardless. If you can trade before the season starts, like I know it pains you to drop an asset like Marte. So if you can trade him for a draft pick or something, try that. But
if that's
even
allowed, yeah.
if that's allowed, I always want to see if that's allowed. But if that is, I'd be looking to trade Strasburg or Marte actually in that matter.
If you can take Strasburg and Marte and maybe pair them and go after a Scherzer, or if you want to maybe go for a Bueller or somebody. I know Bueller is not much above Strasburg next season, but long term, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more value there. Maybe do something that you pair,
because it's not like an in-season trade. It's not, because you can, if somebody doesn't have the keepers you do and they're looking to increase the number of excellent keepers they have, then yeah, like what you're saying, Mike, you can go just a notch above Strasburg and use Marte as that leverage. I know, like, you're throwing in a stud, but really he's of no value to you. So anything you can get is incremental.
Exactly. And again, people in the league might go crazy. Oh, you're paying way too much, but you're really not.
No,
at least for
you're
you.
not.
At least again because of what you're gaining.
Right.
So we covered that one really well. I've actually been trying to stop transitioning with the word "so," but I guess I keep it going today. David at David Doug 39. First off, David, I'm hoping you're listening. This is a good dude, man. I mean, I've had a chance to meet him through. I collect baseball cards now, Zach. I don't know if I told you that. And David and I are in a lot of the same what are called breaks. So
I've got one question. Is his first name David or Doug?
I think it's David.
Okay. So.
I've actually talked to him on the side before. I hope I didn't mess up his name. I thought it was David. Oh well,
Probably.
David, Doug. Pretty sure it's David.
We'll call him Double D.
Oh wait, it's David Ugg. I'm not sure. David. Oh, it's okay. I miswrote it. I've called him Dave. I think it's David, but I think it's Davidoug, not David Doug. David Ugg
Okay.
or David Doug. I don't know, man. He'll know who he is. He's probably laughing right now, and honestly, nobody else listening gives a crap. Okay. So
I don't even care.
Yeah.
Even
Well, thanks. Well, I do because he's a good guy, and we've talked a lot behind the scenes. He's a good dude, so I try to do it right. Dave, just DM me. We'll get this figured out. Format. So he has two formats. I guess he's considering keeping them in. One is a head-to-head points. Sorry, I should say him. He has Tommy Edman. He just wants to know if he's the real deal or worth keeping. Now, before we get into that part, which is kind of its own question, he has him in a head-to-head points mixed league, which I'm guessing is anywhere from 10 to 15 teams. He didn't really specify team total, but he also has them in NL only. First off, anybody is worth rostering in NL only. I think I said this on Twitter. If they have a pulse and they actually have, and I think Edmund actually has a chance at starting every day next year, he's NL only, no questions asked, you keep him. But head-to-head points, I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I agree. He's 15 for 16 on stolen bases.
That's a roto asset, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I know.
The power is not real, by the way. Sorry to burst your bubble. The power is not real at all.
Yeah, he looks like a speed guy. He's pacing for like 15 triples and 30 stolen bases. So he looks like I don't know, like maybe an Adam Eaton upside type of guy.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, you would think, oh, well, he went just like, he had 92 games this year. It was a big second half. He had 11 home runs, 17 stolen bases. You would think, oh, well, there's that power speed combo. The problem is, man, he ranks, in hard hit rate, he ranks in the 20th percentile, 20th percentile. So he's below league average. He's below league average in exit velocity, and that ball is not going to stay juiced. And in the minor leagues, his highest total ever was 7 this year, again, where they're using the juiced ball in AAA. But the rest of it is so again, in roto leagues, any roto league that's like that you need speed, he's going to be a great a mid to late round guy to go after, because the rest of him, from what I was looking at, seems legit. He seems like a 280 to 300 hitter. His on base skills are real. He barely strikes out. I think the highest he ever struck out was in 2017, 22% of the time. Otherwise, he sits around 14 to 16% in strikeout rate. Walks, he's always around 6 to 8%. So, I mean, there's a high average, high BABIP, high average floor, and the speed is real. What was the speed again? Speed was 96th percentile. So with that hit tool and that speed, he will be a solid average guy and a solid speed guy. Great asset in roto leagues and category leagues. Head-to-head points, he loses a lot of value because, well, I mean, he's good in OBP, so he doesn't lose a lot of value, but he's just one of those. He's fringe. If it's a 15-team league and he's like between him and John Birdie or something, or for lack of a better name right now, then you go with Edmund. But it's hard. I don't know how many teams are involved, so he's fringe in points, but definitely an NL only, no doubt about it.
Right, 16 walks to 61 strikeouts.
Well, that was this year, all right. That was a 4.6% this year, but it's only a 17.5% K rate, and that's kind of who he is. Like that K rate's pretty legit, and that's actually higher than, like I said, every mark except for one season in high A ball in 2017. Other than that, he's always been 15.3 or lower. So the 17.5% K rate seems real.
Where do you think he gets drafted in mixed leagues next year?
Mixed leagues, I think he's going to be a late round. Well, he might move up because of the speed, man. You can't ignore speed in mixed leagues at all. But because of him, I'm getting more and more, like, because of him and a couple other guys, Colton Wong and others that I'm not huge fans of otherwise, but their speed is so real. I'm getting more excited and more comfortable kind of avoiding speed or fading speed in the beginning of the drafts and gaining the value in the better overall hitters. And I think he's going to be somebody you see, because I think he might even have multi-positional eligibility. That might be a possibility. Right now, it shows on Fangraphs he's second base, third base eligible. So, especially second base eligible, he's going to be going probably top 150.
You know where I like this guy? I'll tell you. Next year when we're doing auctions, I'm going to nominate him first because I want him to go for $7, $8, where he'd go for $1 or $2 at the end of the auction if you just ignore him. Because I don't want him. I don't want him.
You don't want him? Why?
No, I do not want him. I think I think people are gonna somebody's gonna overpay for this guy next year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Someone's always, because the problem is you're gonna have guys who draft, a la someone like me might draft a little power heavy or other position, like other stats heavy. It's gonna leave me chasing guys like this, and then someone like you that's gonna. Me and you do too. This is why I'm trying to get away from leagues with you, because you're the guy who nominates him first, second pick nomination you have, and now like you did that with me with Josh Bell. I didn't have the money. You priced me out Josh Bell in one league last year, and
probably did.
Bell didn't have the best second half. He was coming back around before the injury, but regardless, the production was the production, and he was still a solid contributor. And you screwed me out of him because you knew I liked him. You knew he was gaining some hype, and you put him up early. So I'm done drafting with you. You've ruined it.
Well, we got a couple leagues left. We got a couple leagues together still.
Yeah,
and you know what you do the same thing to me, because you know what I like all those prospects. You're gonna nominate. You nominated Gleyber Torres that year. You're nominating Alex Reyes. You're nominating Pete Alonso. You know who I want to.
Well,
Chris Paddock.
I see, but I'll probably do that to you again this year. So it's fair.
It all goes around.
It does. It's fair. We get along so well. We hate each other at the same time. All right.
It's fun.
At Eric_Tompkin, he has again, I didn't get a team amount, but head-to-head category 6x6 with total bases and K per 9. You keep five players forever. He's already keeping Baez and Bellinger. So of the remaining players, he needs to pick 3. Correa, Harper. This one was the hardest one for me. Correa, Harper, Franco, Adele, Flaherty, Soroka, and Hira. What are your 3 there? And there's one guy I want to talk about in particular in general. But who are your 3?
I don't even know if I've decided yet because this is so difficult. But I'll tell you one guy I eliminated right off the bat was Soroka because of the K9.
Yes, I'm with you.
He was off my list. And you know who I love on this list? I was all over him this year. Flaherty is going to be one of mine.
Yep.
And you know what? 5 keepers means that you're going to be so behind the 8 ball if you don't have 5 guys that are going to contribute right away, because most teams are going to can find 5 studs that are better or almost equal to Correa. So you know what? It pains me. I'm not going to keep Wander Franco or Adele, because I want somebody I need people that are going to be up right away. It's going to be Correa and Harper for me. Correa, Harper, Flaherty.
See, we agree on 2 out of 3. Can you guess which one I'm not keeping? I'm sure it's obvious.
Correa.
Yes. Can you guess which one I am keeping?
Um,
I'm keeping Flaherty. I'm keeping Harper. We agree on those.
and then I will. It's probably going to be easy. You're going to be keeping Wander Franco.
Yes. And that goes back to the one guy. I think Franco, I know he could literally miss all of next year, but he has if he literally is the next Acuna, I'm willing to bite the bullet and not waste, but utilize one of my keepers for him. And it's because of the fact that Correa is not a top 5 round pick right now anyway.
Good point. That's a very good point.
And Franco, although he's not a top 5 round pick next year, I guarantee you somebody will be cute and try to get him early because he's available. At least that's how I look at it. I'd rather take Franco, hold on to him, and honestly, you could probably even keep him and trade him for a better player than Correa right now.
You know what? I can't argue with anything you're saying. I got 2 points, 2 conflicting points.
Go
one
for it,
point,
please.
one point is an argument for keeping Franco, and 1 point is an argument for not keeping Franco. My point to keep Franco is that I was in an 8-keeper league, similar thing, keep forever. And you know what? I passed on Acuna the year before he got called up. I knew he was going to be a stud, but I kept George Springer instead, just because I knew Springer was a 3rd-round pick at the time. Acuna was going to be
not terrible though, because Springer's still a 3rd-round pick. So it's like you took the high floor, you hedged your bet. Sure, you lost, but that's at the time I can understand it, especially if you're competing.
Okay, so that's that, and now I regret that. So you know what? That would make me inclined to say, you know what? I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to keep Franco, and I have Franco in that league, and I have the similar type of decision. Do I keep Franco or Altuve? Anyways, I'm going off topic. My point to keeping Correa over Franco is think back 3-4 years ago. Who's more hyped, Correa before he got called up in, I think it was July, the year that he got called up? I think it was 2017. Or Franco now? I think it's not that far off. So, and Correa is still, 23, 24 years old? So the pedigree, the upside, I don't think is much different.
Huh. I didn't think of it that way, but I don't remember anybody.
Correa was a number 1 prospect. He was a number 1 prospect.
I remember that.
Just like Franco.
I think the big thing about Correa, though, is that we know he's not running anymore. That team does not run. They don't need to. He could be hitting 7th in that lineup, I'm all over Correa in redraft. I'm going to be targeting him like a madman at his reduced price. He's going for secret prices and offers Freddie Freeman upside. Like, I want that guy. Like, that's not the problem.
I know.
It's just Wander Franco has potential all 6 and talking about total bases. I think he has potential 6 category upside where Correa has 5. Correa has this chronic back issue, which again, I don't know why I love him. I love Correa. I don't know why I love him so much and why I'm so confident in him, but and at the same time I'm talking you out of him or trying to. I just want Franco because I think in the first round he can still get Correa back.
Man, I'm so invested in Correa from the start.
Yes,
even this year in Dynasty startups, I was taking him as a 2nd rounder, 1st rounder, because I was all over him from the start. And you know what? He hasn't panned out. He's been a bust in terms of a Dynasty player.
In terms of like, if you look at it like a per plate appearance or per game, he's been fantastic. But he just isn't playing enough games. Now, he's young. You'd think he'd get it figured out, but is this him just working through it? Is this him at the start of like a career that's hinged, like, that's taken off the hinges by injury, that just, like one of those like what could have been deals? Still too early to tell. I love Correa. I love him, and I love him in redraft because he's falling way too far because of the injuries. But in this situation, I want Franco because I really do think in his first round, I don't care if it's a 12th pick in the first round, I think Correa still will be available at the end of a first round in this type of league, considering where he's going to be going ADP wise next season. And that's going to, ADP, a lot of people fall into that trap and buy into it too much. But ADP will dictate that. I think ADP is going to have him around pick 60 or 70, which is way too low. And
I agree.
He'll be able to snag him. He'll be able to get snagged up with that first round pick, assuming that he has one next year.
Another point in your favor to keep Franco, even though I'm still keeping Correa, is that you know what? Franco could be on that expedited timeline, like the timeline Acuna, Soto, getting to the majors way quicker than anyone thinks, and people are going to whiff on him. Like in this case, he could be up by the end of August. I don't know, because he just is killing it in the minors. So, and this is a head-to-head league. So you get him for the playoffs this year, potentially. Probably not, but there's an argument in favor of keeping Franco.
So you're at the end of the day, because we've been on this topic for a bit now, and I think we've beat it into the ground. At the end of the day, you're keeping Correa, even though you could see all the reasons for Franco. I'm saying go with the upside and maybe target Correa in the first round of next year. So I'm kind of taking the chance. I'm keeping Franco, and honestly, if you don't get Correa and you realize you're competing, or you think you can still compete, you can still try. I still think you could trade Franco for a solid value, especially the farther along you keep him. And the fact that he could be up sooner than later. So.
Yep. Yep.
Number 4 at MDRC0508. 12-teamer head-to-head points league. Keep 3. I think we both agree Bellinger and Jordan Alvarez or Jordan Alvarez are obvious here, right?
Yes.
Obvious. Now, so
Yes.
basically it turns into a keep 1 out of 5 names, and you can go any way. And the 5 names that we decided to keep 1 out of are Soroka, Yu Darvish, Eugenio Suarez, Austin Meadows, and Eddie Rosario. I know my guy. I'll let you go first again.
My guy is Meadows.
Ooh,
upside in youth. I'm taking him.
See, Eddie Rosario was automatically, his OBP is not good enough for me to want him.
He was my first one wiped off the list right away.
Yes. And Suarez was very intriguing because of that power surge and, big power guy.
In a roto.
I love Meadows, but Meadows I said no to. I said Soroka. And a lot of it is not because I like him more than Meadows, like in a vacuum, but head-to-head points leagues, pitchers are huge for.
You know what? I'm no expert in that format. I don't play head-to-head points leagues, so you probably are more knowledgeable than me. So people should probably take your advice here.
Well, if you're looking like long-term in a vacuum, obviously I would have taken Meadows as well. But Soroka, you mentioned the K per 9 is not that great, but the win potential, the quality start potential, that's all there. And in a division that has the Mets that are hit or miss, the Phillies that can really swing a bat or be hit or miss as well, but then definitely the Marlins. And you don't have to face the Braves, which are the best. It's a tougher division. I mean, the Nats are good too, so maybe the division isn't a good argument for it. But in points leagues, yeah, that's the thing. Points leagues, pitchers score the most points, period. They play, they only start once a week half the time, but they score the most points. And I'm always going to get at least out of the end with such a high quality hitters. So I want that solid starter. Darvish is interesting, but I would trust Soroka, and obviously being a keeper, Soroka has the youth on his side and ace potential. I'm going to go with Soroka, especially in a points league. I know, like you said, you're not familiar, you don't play points. I play just enough to understand it. So, and that was my first ever league, was points league. So,
right? No, I think that's I can't say anything wrong with that. And I agree. I don't trust Darvish. So you know what? If I were to choose a pitcher, I'd agree with Soroka.
Oh, I actually trust Darvish, just not. I don't have him as ranked as high. I like Darvish as SP. I'm back on the Darvish bandwagon too. Go figure.
Don't trust him. He's like a cheating girlfriend.
So is Schwarber. And look at me. I'm a glutton for punishment, man.
Yeah, you're a sucker.
I'm a sucker, but you know what? Maybe it'll work out, and I'll get married, or I'll just leave good, man. 2020 is the year of decisions. Like Sonny Gray, I'm back on him too. It's just I'm coming back. I'm back, baby. I'm walking through this door with my bags, and I'm like, please take me back, even though I did nothing wrong.
We'll talk next August when Sonny Gray has half your stuff.
Yeah, half my pension.
Yeah.
Oh man. At Doug Dennis 41. Format, it's a NL only 5x5 with OBP. So I'm guessing OBP instead of average. It's NL only. So all 3 of these guys have relevance. You have Garrett Cooper, Alex Verdugo, and Franchi Cordero. But all of them are $1. And you can only keep 1. Which one are you going to hold on to?
I think you can go first, but I think we're going to agree.
To be completely honest, I honestly was looking at Cooper the other day, and he fell off. I'm kind of off on him. Franchi, that's still such a crowded situation. So I think I'm going to go with what Verdugo is flashing and just take the upside of Verdugo there.
Yeah, agree. Franchi, I was looking at – I look at Fangraphs, and I look at I guess batting what's it called? The batting metric.
Oh
no, Fangraphs, and you can look at the batted ball profile and like the Z swing, O
All that
swing.
stuff, yeah. The
Franchi is just he's just bottom of the barrel and all those things. He's like Chris Davis, Joey Gallo, but he's not making the hard like as well. I don't want to say he's not making the hard contact, but he just doesn't make contact.
This one seemed real. I mean, I know Verdugo's kind of been almost forgotten about because he had that injury, right? I had no shares, so I honestly haven't followed him that much.
Same here.
But of these three names, I think he's one that stands out, has the highest pedigree. And yeah, I know it's a little crowded over there in Los Angeles, but he was showing such a good hit tool. He was just showing his prospect pedigree and was proving me a bit wrong because I wasn't in on him this year. So I think he would be the one to keep. Offers the highest upside.
Yeah, I agree. I was never on him, so I didn't follow him. Did he get a lot of at bats this year? Because you know what, like in the juice ball year, for some reason I'm not picturing him having a lot of home runs or showing a elevated level of power like a lot of these other young players are. So you know
he had 377 plate appearances and played 106 games. He only had 12 home runs and 4 stolen bases, but it's just I mean, he only struck out 13% of the time, just under a 7% walk rate, a solid on base guy, a high batting average guy, and that was with only a 309 BABIP. So I mean, I think it's more of you're betting on the hit tool, you're betting on the solid floor, and only. I know I would typically suggest going for the ceiling, but I want somebody who I know like I think I want the solid floor there, and I think the ceiling is kind of there, but I'm not. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
I think he has a higher ceiling than Cooper.
Well, we saw Cooper show off for like a month, and I was like, "This isn't real." And then he obviously cooled down, but it's just Franchi was the instant no for me, and yeah, I think it's just the best player there is Verdugo. I mean, it's not really difficult. I'm trying to talk the other guys up, and I can't. I'm just gonna stop.
Okay.
At Kerry Klug asked us format. Well, so format head-to-head league. Not sure if points roto, etc. But it doesn't really matter for me. This wasn't difficult. You have to choose one of these. You had Kingery in the 15th, Kepler in the 6th, and Dinelson Lamet in the 21st. I think it's Lamet, and it's not even close. Kepler in the 6th, there's no value. Kingery in the 15th, that's fair value. I'm just kind of over the Kingery thing. It's like he's so streaky, hit or miss. Never know if he's going to be a starter or not. I want Lamet's upside as a pitcher, especially that late.
Mike, what you just said summarizes exactly everything that I could just say. So I agree with 100% of what you said. There's no need for me to talk.
Gotcha. I'll let you talk first on the next one. I'm a talker, if you haven't noticed.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You did it. You summarized it better than I could. I thought, you know what? I was getting scared for a second. I thought you were going to go Kepler, but no, I was.
I love Kepler, but there's no value this year, especially at the 6th round pick. I mean, there's no value.
You're right.
If it was Kepler in the 16th, then there's a discussion to be had. Then you know what? Maybe it was a typo. We'll say Kepler in the 16th because it doesn't make sense to put Kepler in the 6th and the rest 15th and 21st. I couldn't imagine any league he went in the 6th either.
Yeah, true.
So I'm going to guess it was a typo. Kepler in the 16th or Dinelson Lamet in the 21st, need-based, strictly need-based. If you have a strong pitching staff, I want Kepler. Kepler is going to be a great value. He's going to be a top 100 guy. Dinelson Lamet is a high upside SP grab in mid to late rounds of drafts. But I like him enough to where if you need pitching and you have a strong base at hitting, I would still take Lamet in the 21st, but Kepler in the 16th, really tough to pass on.
Yeah, it's going to be need based, and it's going to be feeling out your league because you just got to think of where these guys would go if they get thrown back in the pool. Lamet, probably, I don't know, is he a 14th, 15th round pick? He's going to be, in my mind, he's a sleeper next year. I think he's going to. You'll see if you look at the early drafts that are going on right now. I believe he'll be going 4 or 5 rounds earlier by March.
Well, by November probably, because I think there's going to be another set of 2 early mocks, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff going on. A TGFBI is going to happen, and it's going to be interesting. And you're going to see Kepler fly up draft boards too. That's why I don't believe he's a 6th round pick now. I can see somebody being cute and taking him in the 6th during the coming up in the off season. But last year definitely wasn't. But if it truly is a 6th, we'll just, if it's truly a 6th, don't touch him there. If it's a 16th round pick in a vacuum, I like him the most. But it's really need based. At Joe Lou for you. Okay. Sounds like a service. It's a roto. Maybe it's a massage parlor that Correa goes to. At
Oh,
roto, or sorry, it's format is roto. 3 keepers, 0 penalty, and keep forever. Also, keep in mind I will likely. Oh, I or he that he's going to be likely picking top 2 in next year's draft. So, of these names, Kettle Marte, Shane Bieber, Whit Merrifield, Gleyber Torres, and Chris Bryant. Which 3 are you keeping?
this is tough. And you know
It
what? I
is.
can see why. I can see why he's picking top 2 because if these are his 5 best players, his team sucks.
But with that being said,
No
there,
offense, but yeah, he's obviously playing for the future. Yeah, I'll just go ahead. I'm going to go Torres, Bieber, and Bryant are mine.
yes, I just called a last minute audible because I told you I was putting Ketel Marte down my ranks a little bit, and I'm kind of sweating my bet with Brian with Marte over Machado next year because I'm starting to find myself liking Machado and taking his upside a little high, like a little higher. And you know me, I was pretty anti Machado, but I'm starting to climb on him a little bit while dropping Marte, but I still have Marte ahead of him. But I initially had Marte ahead of Torres and Bryant. Now I'm having a hard time putting him above either. That just goes to show you how much I'm concerned about Marte, maybe more than I should. So I'm going to agree with you and go Torres, Bryant, Bieber. But I don't know, man. Torres, Marte. I need to dig into Torres more.
Yeah, that is tough. I love Torres. I think he like sneaky 38 bombs. I think he could be batting higher in the order next year, and then keep forever. Like I can't. It would just pay me to give away Bryant if Bryant can come back to his full potential.
I think Bryant and Bieber are the obvious keeps here. I think Bryant, you're getting the high floor. He's going to be a 3rd-round pick. He's not bad, and he offers everything but RBIs lately. He hit 30 bombs this year quietly, over 100 runs, and I think he hit like 270, 280. So there's no question in my head, and this is off the top of my head, there's no question in my mind that Bryant's one of the keepers because he offers that floor. Witt, he came up short, and I don't think he offers the upside that Torres and Marte do. And I think you want to keep Bieber because he's going to be a 2nd, 3rd-round pick as well. So you're getting your ace, you're getting a solid hitter. I think I'm going to stick with Marte. Actually, I'm going to call an audible again. I'm going to go Marte over Torres, but it's so close. I think Marte offers a little more in the stolen bases. Oh, I can't get over Gleyber. I have to look, but I know most of his damage came against Baltimore. Like he really abused Baltimore last year.
I haven't looked, but I feel like Gleyber had a huge second half.
We should.
I don't know. I can take a look quickly, but I just feel he's just getting better and better.
And Marte had the big second half too. Marte had a good second half too. People just don't realize it. I think injury kind of derailed it, or derailed him, but he had a solid second half as a whole. And I don't know, man. I'm truly torn between them. You can flip a coin, and 5 times I'll take one, 5 times I'll take the other. That goes to show you, or either of them have. Which one has second base eligibility? Both of them? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because that would make the difference for me. I want the second baseman because second base is really shallow.
Well, I don't know Marte's eligibility will be next year.
I don't know Gleyber's because I feel like they moved him around a little bit. I don't really know.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of injuries there.
Yeah, like his X stats even suggest he Gleyber Torres. I'm speaking about his X stats on the Statcast page suggest that he overproduced pretty good amount. I think him and Marte are in the same sentence as far as people you can expect to have regression, man.
Okay, do you know what I was wrong about Torres? He had 19 home runs in each half. Yeah, I'm talking about All-Star break and post All-Star, and he actually hit 30 points lower after the All-Star break. So I actually probably wasn't. I don't have a lot of shares of Torres, but
I have none.
I think I had one out of like 40 leagues.
Leagues down, man.
I do, especially. Yeah. Well, that's another topic. But yeah, no, no. So I don't know. I'm wavering on Marte Torres too. It's razor thin for me, but
actually for me, it's not. Quick look on both of them. Give me Marte. I say that with confidence.
You know what? I'm going with you. I'm changing my mind. I'm going Marte as well.
Boom. So we have it. We have a consensus. Bieber, Bryant, Marte. Bieber, Bryant, Marte. Keep those 3. Let Merrifield and Torres go. And if you like them enough, depending on who's there in your first round, you have a first pick or 2. you're gonna get a stud that's better than both those guys. So
you're gonna get your first pick's gonna be better than any of the players you have on your team, probably. If there's only a 3 keeper, most likely.
I don't know because he has 3 players going in like the second and third round. So I don't know if that's true. Just the problem is he has like middling. He has no elite guy. He has middling guys.
You're gonna have that team that you're gonna have a team in the league that has Acuna, Yelich, and J-Ram, just because they've had keepers for many leagues, and then they are also gonna have like Tatis. So you're gonna have a team that's gonna have a guy like Tatis or I don't know, JD Martinez that's gonna be thrown back.
Is this the type of team that you target Wander like early rounds? Like you take Wander like in the top 5 with a top 5 pick? Just so you look ahead that far, you know?
Yeah, because this team's that bad. Yes.
Well, it's not that bad.
I'm not trying to.
I don't think it's that bad.
He's got no consensus top 24 player. There's no player on that list that's for sure a top 24 player.
That's why he needs to play the upside. He needs to target. You know, he has to kind of almost tank this next year. Get Luis Robert, Joe Adell, and Wander, and hope that they just sit on them. And you know what? It sucks. Nobody likes rebuilding. Nobody does. And there's a couple leagues where I went and rebuild, and it sucks. I'm burning money. I get that. But if you're in a real true league that's been around for a while, that okay, you might be burning money, but you're going to be able to make it back. Commit to the rebuild. Your team is you're a mid-tier team at best with these keepers. You go out there, you swing for the fences, you get your top prospects, your Roberts. Or sorry, he likes Robert. You're Robert, you're Adele, you're Wander. You get those guys and you stash them for the year, and you hope that maybe you compete off the waiver wire.
What I would do in this particular case is he is the first or second pick, so I think there's going to be a stud. I believe there'll be someone very, very good to take in with that first pick, and then with your second and third round picks, I'd be grabbing your Adeles, your Roberts, assuming they're going to be available in the next 2 rounds. Maybe not. But I'd even go with like Kyle Tucker or Gavin Lux.
Tucker's been looking really – I looked into him a little bit. He's actually looked really good in his opportunity. Obviously, he's in a platoon right now, but I want Tucker everywhere next year. And I think, again, me and you are going to fight over him. It's going to be really annoying.
Yeah, he could be a very valuable player because of the speed, power that he brings, like the stolen bases.
It's all about opportunity. It's all about will they get – because Reddick has another year in contract.
Oh, God, don't tell me this.
I looked it up. I looked it up like a month ago because someone asked me. I was like, let me look. Oh, my goodness. Reddick has another year.
Josh Reddick has been the bane of my existence for the last 2 years.
I mean, he's just – because the problem is he's so solid in real life.
Yeah, but we just don't care about that. He's probably a very nice guy too. He looks like a funny guy, good-looking guy. Like there's nothing wrong with him, but I just hate him. He's blocking Tucker. He's blocked Alvarez.
Listen, you can't hate people. You're Canadian. Canadians don't hate.
I hate him for fantasy.
No, you don't. You can't use that word. It's not in your vocabulary. Listen. I'm an American.
You know what?
Let me leave the hate to me. All right, you realize that's what we do on our side.
Okay, my bad.
We hate people. You guys just dislike people with a passion or strongly, you know, like, oh, I really don't like them. But then you go about your day. We passionately hate people to the point where we boycott and picket, and we do all that stuff that you guys don't do as much up there.
Actually, I'll rephrase it. I'm very sorry because Canadians like to apologize. I'm very sorry that Josh Reddick has a job.
Oh, good. Oh, look at you. Still, yeah, you're very good. That was good. That was funny. All right, Zach. On that note, we're going to go ahead and pause right here for a brief moment. Going to run a few ads, and we'll be right back with the show. And we're back. Our next question comes from @R_Lewis. He's in a Dynasty league that rosters about 26 to 28 players. And he was asking if any of these guys are worth keeping or should he be tossing them back and grab them later, whatever that means. The problem is everybody's worth keeping if you depends on your team build, Dynasty, right? Like,
right. But he's given us some context here, right?
Yeah, at the end he does, but it's like the names that he's talking about are Kevin Newman, Brian Reynolds, Nick Solak, and Kyle Lewis, which those bottom two are the ones I would prefer for the upside.
Correct. Me too.
But the names that he's talking about replacing are Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gavin Lux. I'm not making
Gavin
those
Lux,
moves.
are you out of your mind? None of those players come close to replacing Gavin Lux.
Well, the problem is Lux. It's recency bias. He didn't really do amazing in his cup of coffee.
I don't really care. I think
But we have
Gavin
to
Lux is.
remember. I understand that, and I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. But people recency bias, and it's still early, so you haven't had a lot of people talking him up as a sleeper for next year yet or anything. You saw Kyle Lewis go on this little hot streak. You saw Solak do better than most people anticipated. So the question is there, and I understand it, but I would not do that. I would not make that move. You keep Gavin Lux. He was a top prospect for a reason. He's going to come around, and obviously Gurriel Jr. He was coming off an injury. I think he's in for a solid year. I'm having a tough time ranking him at the moment, but he's definitely above all these names you mentioned.
Yeah,
So
he's a tough guy to rank.
I'm sorry.
I find it really hard to believe if you're keeping 26 to 28 players, Gavin Lux and Lourdes Gurriel are your worst players. But
That's true
if they are, then no, I would not drop them for any of those 4 players you're asking about.
Well, let's make it easier then. Let's rank these 4. I think Brian Reynolds and Kevin Newman are kind of the same. I think I'd rather have Reynolds after he flashed that hit tool he did at one point.
Yeah, he had a huge BABIP, didn't he? Though.
Well, I think he has the speed to back it up, though.
Does he? Okay.
I think that's top of my head. I'm pretty sure he's a speedy guy. Regardless, it's like those guys are just Jags. They're just guys to me. Like I don't really find either one of them like must own. But Nolak, Nick Solak, and Kyle Lewis are very intriguing. And in a dynasty format, I would look to try to roster one, if not both. But if you had to, I'm guessing you agree with me as far as those 2 being above the other 2.
I do.
Okay, so is there a preference? Like, let's put this in. Is there a preference of the 2? Do you have a?
Yeah, I like Lewis more, just because of his pedigree, and I've read up on him. I've read up on him a bit, and he had an injury that pretty much wiped out like 2 seasons almost. I think 16 and 17. So, or I forget exactly which seasons they were, but he's really had a limited opportunity. And as soon as he gets called up to the major leagues with the ball, he's just killing it. And you know what? His upside is way higher than anyone else on that list.
I disagree.
Okay.
Not the upside part, because you can't quantify upside. You could just kind of guess it. But I think I want Nick Solak more. I liked what he flashed. I like it. The big thing is you come up. I know again they both came up very limited, but I like to take what I can from their call ups. And one showed far greater plate discipline. Maybe not as much power, but he flashed a little power speed with 5 home runs, 2 stolen bases. So. And solid triple slash. He hit over 290. He had an OBP almost 400. Another guy with a higher BABIP with 354. But I don't know. I think I want Solak above Lewis. But either way, I want both these guys. Both offer way more upside than Newman and Reynolds. And if you can find a way to get both of them on your roster, we're not going to fault you. I don't think you would. I don't think you'd fault them for and choosing between them. Just preference. I mean, you might be on his side, my side. I'm smarter, so you might want to be on my side, but.
Hey, I'm not arguing with any of that, but would you drop Domingo? Let's play the game. Would you drop Domingo Santana for either of those 2?
I love Santana, so I wouldn't.
What about Ian Happ?
Happ, I would. I feel like we've seen what Happ has to offer. I don't know. He showed. I think I'm over. I think I have prospect fatigue for Ian Happ is what it is.
Okay, so what about Gregory Polanco?
I could understand it. I'd rather not. I would personally. Yeah. I think I'd keep Polanco, but
so would I.
Again, I'm a Polanco guy too.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep this to hitters. What about Kevin Biggio?
No.
No what?
No, I'd rather keep Biggio.
Yeah, so would I.
Let's flip this. What about you? What about these names you just gave me? Which of the names you gave me, which ones would you drop for either of these prospects? Or
forget the names. I forget. Biggio, no. Santana, no. Polanco, no. What was the other one that I
Ian Happ.
That's a tough one.
That is tough. I have prospect fatigue with him, man.
I would not drop Ian Happ for Solak, but I would probably drop him for Kyle Lewis.
And that's the thing. It goes down to I think I'm sick of him. I know I looked into Ian Happ a little bit. A little bit because I was doing that daily hitter streamer chart, so it made me look into him a little bit, and I was kind of impressed. But how much of that is a hot streak? We've seen him do great things. We've also seen him strike out at a 40% clip basically and do nothing for like weeks on end.
I'll give you a name that I would drop for both of them is Dansby Swanson.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought, wasn't Swanson like really good for like part of the year? Or I have no shares.
Yes, but his upside's limited. I feel like
I mean,
you're always like he's even 2 years ago. I was getting questions, or I was asking questions. No one was asking me. No one was asking me anything 2 years ago. But I was discussing probably with you. Is Addison Russell? This is before he went crazy and started doing all these horrible things. Is he worth keeping in I think a 12-team keeper league? When you keep, I think it was 8 players, and at that time he was probably like the 9th or 10th best shortstop in a dynasty format. So you had like your typical Xanders, your Correas, and your Corey Seagers, whoever else, Trey Turner, that were above him. But he was pretty highly coveted in terms of a dynasty ranking. But he was sort of on that next tier. And I said, no, don't keep Addison Russell, because you know what? Look at the next wave of shortstops coming in, and I think I listed a couple other ones like. You had your Gleyber Torreses. I think at that time Trevor Story hadn't completely broken out yet.
What about remember the last time? I remember the hype that sticks out to me for shortstop is that Crawford kid. He was in Philly, now he's in the Mariners system.
JP Crawford.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was. Remember him? Remember his hype?
Oh my God! My first ever dynasty league, I bought him for like $22. In a straight up new draft. So he was getting bought the same. I had him and AJ Reed as my 2 best minor league players. My first ever dynasty. Terrible. But what my point is, a player like Dansby Swanson, he's going to get in a dynasty league where you're going to roster 25 major league players. He's going to be an afterthought as soon as some of these other shortstops come up, like your Gavin Luxes, your Wander Francos. He's going to keep falling down the ranking. He's not going to get better. He's not going to surpass any of your top 10 shortstops right now. And
shortstop's like one of the deepest positions too, man. It's crazy.
Exactly. So it's probably top 15. I don't know. Swanson's probably not even your top 20 right now.
I haven't gotten there yet, but
I don't know. Neither have I. But
I can understand what you're saying. I would probably shoot for higher though, man. Based on I don't know. I feel like I don't know if these guys are really like to drop Swanson. I can totally understand. He's not really 12-team. He might be 12-team mixed league relevant for the middle infield spot, but probably not because of how deep shortstop is. It's really hard. I get it. I don't know, man. I have a hard time outright dropping them. I think that's kind of a hot take. I like it. I just don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, you know what, it comes down to roster construction. If he was on my bench and it was between him and Kyle Lewis, I would take Lewis.
Gotcha. So yeah, I did so again. Dang it! All right, number 9.
Just edit it out.
No, I'll leave it. I'm even gonna leave all this. I don't care anymore. People, I've been, oh man. I go back and listen, and I shouldn't say this, but I go back to listen. People are probably gonna do it now. I go back and listen to my very first podcast. It was solo. It was about half an hour. Man, was it ugly. I go back and listen. And I was like, I was nervous. I was like, I over edited it, and I didn't really show my personality. And I think people people don't want to listen to us golf tangents that aren't about baseball really, but I can't help but remind people, like, it was just like I was trying too hard to avoid tangents. I was trying too hard to avoid showing my mistakes. So now I kind of embrace them and just laugh them off. And I think it helps show a little bit of the personality and the goofiness that I kind of have in me. Because you've been, again, we've talked for a few years now. I can get pretty goofy. I can be pretty dumb, and I can be a little just a little off sometimes. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You know what, Michael? Like most of your baseball analysis so far today, I disagree. I think you were great in your first podcast. I think I listened to it, and you know what I thought? Like, you know what, this guy, this is for him. So you know what, I think you're a natural. You don't shut up. So
Yeah, I
that's
don't.
that's one thing for you. That's the one thing I noticed right from the start. Even like we never talked over the phone. We just talked usually by on our group chats in the leagues that we were playing in together. That's how we met. And you don't shut up. You always have something to say. So you know what? You found your call.
Yeah, man, and trust me, I hear it at work all the time. Curlin, can you just stop talking? I'm like, I try. I don't mean to anymore. Like, but yeah, and that's why being able to do this and I always have an opinion on things, and not, but I'm never like, oh, my opinion's right. I'm always like, I legitimately try to have a discussion. The problem is, and you know this about Brian, and I know people don't know who Brian is, but this guy Brian drives me nuts because I give an opinion and I give facts behind it, and he just doesn't. He's relentless, man. He doesn't give up on his viewpoints, and it's like it's an argument, not a discussion. With you, I can have a discussion, and it's nice, and that's why it's like, and this industry has been really good because I've been able to bring people on, give my viewpoints, and we don't have to agree. We don't have to agree, but at least it's respected, and at least it's like, all right, well, I understand that, but I feel this way, and it's kind of a refreshing feel. And so it's like I'm so glad I transitioned to this side of things versus just arguing via text and group leagues.
You know, sometimes I feel myself, you and Brian, we just sort of just argue for the sake of argument sometimes, just because we just don't want to agree with each other, and then it's just playing devil's advocate no matter what, and never giving in.
I don't mind. I can give in on an idea. I can admit when I'm wrong. He hasn't admitted once about how right I was about Chapman over Machado. He doesn't want to admit that.
Well, that's because he was taking Machado third overall this year.
Well, that was. I told you this. I will give him that. He was doing that back when the talks were Machado to the Yankees.
Okay, yeah, true.
I will give him that, and that was driving. He was a top 5 pick in those early drafting holds and stuff, and then he kept with them after the Padres did it.
The Machado was a top 5 pick could really lose you a league.
It cost him a lot of money this year. Anyway, so wait, where are we? I think we're at the Brad Becker. This was supposed to be, well, by the way, this was supposed to be like a half an hour podcast. It's going to be an hour. At the
if we're lucky.
The Brad Becker. We're getting down to our final questions. We'll keep these quicker. Format 6x6 with OPS and Q and quality starts. So for those that don't listen, if it's keeper league, but those who don't know, when someone says 6x6 with OPS and quality starts, that means it's their traditional 5x5. You know, your 5 categories across the board on both sides, with the addition of OPS and quality starts. So 10 teams with 10 keepers. He's asking if Gallen is worth keeping, and he's also considering Robert. Sorry, I was also considering Robert. And I'm like, well, yeah, just take the first part. We'll give the context in a moment. Just look at those first 2 names. They're both worth keeping, I would think, because that would put, top 100 picks? Gallen and Robert are both going to go within the top 100.
Really? I haven't done that much research, and you've done more than I have to date. Is Gallen going to be a top 100 pick? Because I love Gallen, but
I think he is. I think he's going to be a top 30 pitcher, and that's going to put him fringe 100, top 100, maybe just outside top 100.
Yeah, I agree. I guess maybe you know what, you don't realize things until you start putting it on paper for next year. And Gallen's one of those sneaky guys that you don't realize.
I don't think he's sneaky, though. That's the thing. Like, I think he's shown enough to where he's going to be a lot of people SP2 next year. He's not going to be like Dinelson Lamet is sneaky. He's going to be like going in that anywhere between 25 and 35 range. I bet. I'm guessing. I haven't gotten to that point either. That's why I'm saying he's fringe. And of course, I would want to keep him. And Luis Robert, he's going to get that hype, and he's going to be a fringe. He's going to be like that Eloy Jimenez rate from this year, next season. He's going to be like that 8th to 10th round pick. I feel like him, Joe Adell. Yeah, they're going to be.
Yep. They're probably even higher. But
so are they worth keep? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's been so many pitchers that have emerged as SP2s entering the next year that weren't SP2s before. I can think of Robbie Ray, Fulte, Herman Marquez, Wheeler, just off the top of my head.
I'd rather have Gallen over all of them.
Well, yeah, now, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Now, that's what I'm saying. And these are
of course, now, yes. But what my point is that there's been so many pitchers that have no track record except for that 1 year, and they're automatically vaulted into that SP2 range. And so many of them have busted. Man, like I can't even like count over the last couple of years. Like Cole Hamels has been in there. like Arrieta. There's been
Darvish,
so many.
Darvish,
Darvish.
Tyone.
Yeah, there's been so many busts at
Well,
that stage of the
Darvish
draft.
was coming off the TJ that we should have known better on.
True. True.
But Tyone kind of broke out with the slider, and then now his second Tommy John. That's kind of concerning. But
yeah, but those were injuries.
Yeah.
I know there's more. I'm just thinking of this year and last year. This year is really fresh in my mind, but even more so last year. You had all those busts, like Chris Archer.
Oh God.
Like in that range of players, like in your round 4 to 7 area, there's been so many busts. There's been so many, like this year you had Clevenger, Bieber, and Flaherty. Those have been all great, but you know what? For the most part, there's been more busts than not. So Gallen is going to fall into that. I think he will fall into that sort of back end of that range next year. And honestly, I'm more confident in him than I have been in any of the other pitchers so far. Like that I've just listed.
I think it's because, if I remember correctly, because I looked into him a little bit as a Marlins fan, because we called him up, and I think it was because he offers like a 4-pitch arsenal. All of them are like at the very least average or plus. Like his command, and he has ridiculous command. So he offers a cutter, a changeup, a curveball, and a fastball. All of which were 50, or sorry, the cutter was 45, but the rest of them were 50 or were rated 50 or above as far as like the prospect, how they rank them, whatever. Still kind of getting better at that, but he ended up.
Doesn't he not throw hard though?
Yeah, I think it was like low. Like he's a command pitcher. He's almost like a Nola.
Yeah.
Like he has a full arsenal of solid pitches with he had but his K prime was like a 10.8, but it's his walks that are scary at a 4.05 walks per 9. That can really bury him, man. And his, so I'm not gonna be as high as others, but I will have him probably close to that top 25-ish pitcher, because command plays, and all the other stuff, the FIP, XFIP, Sierra, all that good stuff. That's all. Obviously regression is built in a little bit, but he's probably closer to a mid 3s ERA guy, like a Keuchel. I feel like, unless if he gets those walks under control, we're talking lower 3s, but mid to upper 3s is more likely, looking at his FIP, XFIP, Sierra, and all that, because he was very lucky, very, very high strand rate. Yeah, there's a lot of red flags, honestly, the more I look at them. So I got to stop. I got to dive in more than just off the cuff.
That range of pitchers have always, like, from my experience over the last 3 years, have been very, very risky. There's a lot of busts. So, yeah. And like you said, like, just going back to the question, it's OPS or Tommy Pham. Like, that's the one example that he gave that he'd have to drop for Robert or for a Zach Gallen. Pham's great in OPS because he has a great on-base percentage. Yeah, like a guy like him is sort of fringy. Like I'm not in love with Pham. He's injury prone and
32, I think.
So yeah, he's not, like, if you put an auction value on him, I think he's like an $18 player even in that format. Are Robert and Gallen $18 players? Probably not in a redraft, but yeah, they have more value but in a keeper, yeah, they might have more value than Pham. Yeah, you know what? I probably would take them over Pham in a keeper league. Even keeping 10, which is a relatively small amount when you're talking players of that, I guess, in that range. You're not talking studs. So 10 keepers is not that many when you're dealing with, what is this, round 8 to 12, round 7 to 10. I don't know what
I think a lot of it has to do with roster construction. I would honestly consider, like, because right now, if you're telling me, hey, I'll give you Pham for one of those two, I'm probably not declining that trade in a keeper league, because although Pham might be better next year, this is a keeper league. You have to put that into it. I'd rather have Gallen or Robert. I think I would swing for the fences and probably keep Robert.
Yeah, I agree. I think unless your league is like really willy-nilly with trades, and you can easily move players like after the draft, because there's probably more draft capital in Pham, probably, but trades are usually hard to make. So you know what, it's going to be tough to get your hands back on Robert or Gallen after the draft if you don't get them. So yeah, I'd be remiss to keep Pham in favor of Louis Robert or Gallen, despite the fact that because he's 32 and he's got some injury concerns.
And yeah,
I think
again,
I think he'd regret it in less than 3 months.
I think I wouldn't say regret it, but you would definitely regret it by the end of 2020. Yeah, you like because
Yeah,
not because Fam is solid, and again he gains value in this format. I'm just thinking I always like to look long term, and heck, if pitching is by the way, if pitching is a premium, because there are a lot of leagues where pitching is really hard to come by, and I think Gallen is more of a quality start type of guy. I think he's going to turn into that type of pitcher, because that's kind of being big on command. If he cuts those walks down like he should, because I don't think when I did look, I don't think he ever had a walk rate above 2.5 walks per nine, basically. Maybe never three is my point, I guess. If in a quality starts league he gains value, but it's roto and I don't know how much he sustains that 10.0 K per nine. That's not really who he is or ever was before this year. I don't know. It's hard. I think it's just a matter of preference, but I would definitely in keeper league. I'm keeping one of those two, leaning Robert over Fam.
Yep. You know what? When I first read this question, when you sent me the questions, I was leaning towards saying no. I
So was
wouldn't keep
I.
him, but now after hashing it out with you, you know what? I'm my stance is that I'd prefer the young players over Fame right now.
And that's funny because I honestly, same thing. I was like, oh no, just keep Fam. But because if that's your worst keeper, you're probably competing. But if you're competing, you can take the hit on a Fam, I feel like, for a Robert. I don't know. I'm really torn. Like, the more I think about it, it's like, well, if you're competing, do you really want to drop Fam? Because Fam could help you. But you got to think top 100. There are other people who are going to keep keepers too that are like, prospects and stuff. You got to think, although Fam might be a top 50 or 60 pick in this format, you might be able to get him back in the first round. I always gotta think that's part of the potential outcomes. You gotta think, well, maybe I can get a Fam. If not, maybe there's gonna be another solid player because people are gonna keep Wander Franco, Joe Adell. Those are players getting kept for sure. That means other quality players are being dropped as well.
You'd think so, yeah.
Especially in a 10-team league. That's another thing. Depth matters. 10-team league. I'm not saying you can replace Fam, but I'm saying it's easier to make up the difference in. Let's say Robert doesn't get called up for a couple months. I think the difference in production could be easier to make up in a 10-team league than any other format as well.
Unrelated question: Robert or Odell next year?
I'm leaning Robert.
So am I.
I think a lot of it's for value because I think Odell's going to go first. Odell, not Odell.
Really? I thought. You know what? I think it's going to be very close. Look, of course, those guys are going to be the Vlad and Eloy of 2020.
Well, you better hope not because those guys were busts. Well, Eloy came around, but Vlad was
they were big time for where he was drafted.
Yes.
So yeah, you know what? I'm probably not going to be targeting them unless I can get them for what I consider value. But you know what? We're going off on another tangent.
Well, no, it's good talk because again, this is keeper stuff, and this is I think it's relevant, and I think Robert has shown he can hit AAA. He's been a stud basically. Both of them, neither one of Adele or Robert walk enough, so that really frustrates me. But they both have similar tools, the power, speed. Robert showing it a little more than Adele, especially at the AAA level. Adele didn't really get enough AAA time, so I'm wondering how much either one of them actually gets just to come up and play. Adele, I thought I looked, it was like a couple, I think it was like 100 plate appearances maybe. Robert, 223. I have a feeling in general, and this is going to be another discussion for another day as far as just diving in, but you look at what happened with Tatis, what happened with Alonso, and Eloy. All of three of them were brought up by their teams instead of waiting for that day for the extra year of control. And now we just suddenly think that, this is going to be the new norm.
Yeah.
I think there's a very, very high likelihood that all three of these guys get stuck waiting for that date, whatever that date is. I honestly don't know them.
Sorry, who's the third? Who's the third?
What?
You said all three.
Oh, sorry. Who's the third? Sorry, third. Wait, there was another name I think, and
you probably were thinking of somebody in your head.
Yeah, but I can't think of the name now. Maybe Carlson was the name, but he's not really a high-end prospect, so I don't know. Both those guys. Maybe I was because all three. I got the third because of the three names I named. I named three names: Alonso, Tatis, and Eloy. That's where I got the three from. We're just assuming that these two in Robert, whatever his damn name is, Robert and Adele, we just assume they're going to take the same path when there's a chance it's more like Vlad where we're waiting on them for a month and a half or a month or whatever it is.
Yeah, you don't know. And you know what? There's going to be a million reports between now and then saying, "Oh, they're thinking of signing him. Look at the team's past track record." But yeah, it's hard to know. And you know, those players' values will fluctuate based on the reports that come out between now and then. But
Yes. So
that's why I love to do the early drafts, because you can. You know what? I think there's always value in these players in earlier drafts, because what you don't know is always going to suppress their value.
exactly. So right now, I think we both agree and lean Robert, but if things change and there's, as if you don't have to make the decision right now, if you make the decision closer to next season, wait and see, we can revisit this. Maybe hit us up on Twitter. We'll definitely do one of these again for those that have to make decisions leading up into the season, and we'll know more. A lot of it's just knowing more, because it depends on a lot of things. How long do you think? Like, are you in the competitive window? Is this a league that is going to last long enough for Robert to pay off? Like, there's because a lot of people need to understand, like, these leagues, keeper leagues are hard to hold on to. A lot of people leave. A lot of people, there's a lot of turnover. So there's a lot of factors. So let's just
you really want to win. You really want to win now, and it will also depend on the moves that both the White Sox and the Angels make leading up to the year. Are they gonna bolster their pitching staff? Are they gonna go for it? Like the White Sox, they're in a weaker division. They could be good. They're gonna bring up Madrigal, and you know what? He doesn't hit any home runs, but he's gonna steal you bases and he's gonna hit for average. Those are two scarce categories. And you know what? Nico Horner, he hit I think 2 or 3 home runs all of the minor leagues, and he already has 3 in 50 at bats in the major league. So, you know what? More home runs are being hit. So,
White maybe Sox not. Maybe not. I'm really curious. I'm really curious to see spring training.
You're right. But you know what? I think the White Sox could have a really potent lineup next year.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where Robert's going to hit. I don't even know where he's going to hit, because they got Eloy, they got Abreu. I think he's still under contract. I don't know what's going to happen to him, but they got Moncada, Abreu. Madrigal is probably going to be up before halfway through the season.
I think it would be Madrigal leadoff, Robert 2, Moncada 3, Eloy 4, Abreu 5.
I feel like we're missing somebody else in that lineup. Well, Tim Anderson was your American League batting champion, Tim Anderson.
You'll have Anderson. Sorry, you'll have Anderson lead off, and then you'll have Madrigal hit like 8 or 9 ahead of him.
When he starts off, and then once people realize Tim Anderson was a complete fluke this year.
You mean Tim Anderson is Tim Anderson?
Yeah, that to me, when I looked at the final stats on MLB.com and I saw Tim Anderson #1 in batting average by the end of the year, because I know he was hitting like 500 in April, but I'm like, okay, this is not going to last. He's your MLB batting champion. Guess what? I don't know what to say about that.
He's going to be tough to rank, just like DJ LeMahieu. I mean, again, another tangent, but LeMahieu's a tough guy to what's his role next year with Andujar coming back, with all these guys? I mean, I know you don't sit. We text about this a little bit. I know you don't sit DJ LeMahieu, and he's earned every bit of that starting job. But if the ball isn't juiced and he goes, it's hard for a team competing, and he's so flexible as far as we can put him in the infield and stuff. I guess there's always going to be a spot. I just feel like you just never know. It's hard to rank him right now until you see what the Yankees do and what the plans are for him, because he absolutely broke out in New York, and he has such a good lineup around him. There's no reason to think he can't be really solid next year.
True.
So he's just another guy that kind of fits into this I don't know what to do with them right now category. I'm going to rank them as if they're starting, and if they don't, I'll adjust. At JDub the Gamer, he's a guy who's always actually hanging around too on Twitter. Stash or pass? Very simple. Stash or pass on Nimmo? Head-to-head points. Oh, sorry, no, it doesn't even give us a category.
I love about this question, the amount of context it gives you.
None. Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
which is easy, because I can't envision myself.
There's actually no context. There's no league. There's no number of keepers. There's no whether you keep for value. And you know what? I don't even know if it's Brandon Nimmo or we're finding Nimmo. Like, I don't know what kind of question this is.
I think it's just a matter of what are your thoughts on Nimmo, and I think he's a pass. I have no real interest in him, and I think you can just move on.
Yeah, he was like a Bader and Grichuk for me this year. You know what? He could have been, and Winker and Nimmo. They all fell into that category we can get for $5. And he busted. He was injured, but yeah. Like, I don't know, like stash or pass.
I'm not stashing him.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what stashing means, but yeah, pass.
Well, stash, I would guess, like, as in keep or
Yeah,
potentially keep. I don't think he's worth a
like
keeper spot, but I do think he's worth drafting next year late. I mean, he did have a better second half, hit for 260 in the second half, and steals are valuable, so he's always gonna have a place in on your bench at least because he has 15, 20 still upside. So he's
yeah.
somebody you target late in drafts. He's probably gonna somebody that makes my article when I do deep league stolen bases or some form of like late round steal sources or something. He would be there, but he's not worth keeping up a keeper spot or anything like that. So at Brett Benham, I think I've seen him around a little bit too. Format head-to-head points. Do I keep Hero for 4, Meadows for 4, or Luzardo for 11? This initially Lazaro didn't stick out to me at all. It stuck out to me like, why would you keep him that? But then I see pitching as a premium, and he has Alonso, Acuna, and Bieber for the prices that they are. I wasn't gonna do. I was gonna do Meadows. Meadows is my guy. I was gonna do Meadows for the price, but it's a points league, points and pitching, and with pitching being a premium, I don't know, man. I still feel like it's a lot for Lazaro though.
What I read is you can keep as many as you want of these three. That's how I read it.
Is that how you read it?
Or are you reading it as you can only keep one of them?
Yeah, that's maybe because I mean for these prices you keep all of them.
Yeah, especially if pitching's a premium. I think of it as what are these players going to go for in drafts? I think Meadows in here. Meadows is probably going to go for around 20. Hero is probably going to go for around 18. And Luzardo, yeah, 11 is probably what he would go for, $11, $12.
Well, if it's a premium,
Tops.
and if there's a premium, and obviously everyone has people have just like for instance, I know I hate to bring it up, but our football, our keeper that we play each other at the auction every year for football.
Yeah.
I mean, what Aaron Rodgers went like I paid up for Aaron Rodgers, which I'm not happy about, but I paid up for him because I needed a quarterback and he was the best available. If pitching is really that pitching will drive it, like if the need for pitching is so much, it'll drive his price up beyond 11. He'll be 15 to 20 just based on need for the league.
Well, yeah, just because of the remaining dollars, because you already know that Alonso's kept for 4, Acuna's kept for 10, and Bieber's kept for 17. There's already, if Alonso's a $30 player, Alonso's a $30 player, there's $26 of equity there. And if Acuna's a $50 player, there's $40 of equity there. And Bieber's
is like 30, 25?
Yeah, 25, 30. So you already got like 40, 30, you got like $80 of money that is not spent.
He's not the only one either.
Yeah, and times that by 11 other guys, then that's going to inflate the prices of everything else, and then hell yeah, Luzardo is going to be more than $10.
If I have to pick, I guess I'm going to keep the pitcher. I don't think it's the best value, but it might be because of the premium. If you read it the way if it was read the way you were supposed to read it with you can keep them all. Hell yeah, I'm keeping all of them at their prices. These are great values.
Yeah, you know what? I still think if I had to choose one, I'd choose Meadows because you know what? Listen, like he only has 4 keepers so far, so you're gonna have to draft the rest of your team. If you're gonna draft the rest of your team, you're gonna have to spend money. So if Meadows, if you want Meadows, you're gonna get him for $4. So that's gonna give you $16 of equity. Now you're passing on Luzardo for $11. Let's say worst case, he's gonna cost $15 in the auction, right? I don't know. I don't think he's gonna go much more than 15.
Maybe 20, maybe at most.
Okay, even 20.
No, I see what you're saying. You can stop right there.
Yeah,
I'm calling audible. I'm going Meadows at 4 because I totally get it. There's gonna be so much money left out of your budget as well as others. You're gonna be able to get better pitchers for similar. I mean, not similar prices to 11, but you could spend the extra money you're keeping from not giving Meadows back.
Yeah, you just got $16 in your pocket from keeping Meadows. That $16 you can go and spend instead of keeping Luzardo at 11. You can keep. You can buy a $25 pitcher make it Luzardo, whoever else you like the best. You could probably get like an Aaron Nola.
Yeah, I guarantee you someone's going to drop him after his bad year, especially if his price is too high. And I bet you can probably pick up an Aaron Nola for 25. And I'll take an Aaron Nola over Luzardo all day.
Exactly. So you get Nola for 25. Yeah, you get Nola for 20. Yeah, if you get Nola for 25 and Meadows for 4, you're spending, say, $30 on those 2 players. You got $30 on Meadows and Nola versus $30 with Luzardo at 11, and then you're going to have to you'll have Luzardo at $11, and you'll be able to buy a $20 player, Meadows, probably. So that's basically what it comes down to. Do you want Nola and Meadows or Luzardo and Meadows?
Yeah, I'm with you. Meadows is the guy there. If you're only keeping one, but if you can keep all of them, again, reiterating, keep Hira, Meadows, and Lazaro for those prices. Keep them all. Roto Ray at Roto Ray _ LAD. I'm guessing you're a Dodgers fan. Good for you. Must be nice. um, Format is 12-team NL only, $260 cap keeper, which he followed all your rules. He gave you everything. 4x4 roto, so no runs or Ks, which I've never. He says that's like old school. I guess that was before my time because I never played that long ago where that was normal. Can keep up to
Right.
15 players. Are these players worth keeping? NL only. This goes back to what I said before. Anybody with a pulse is worth keeping. But if you want to risk it, you can let John Birdie go. But you're keeping Hampson for $10.
Yeah, Hampton's going to be a nice sleeper next year again. He's going to be a sleeper for the second year in a row, much like everyone else in Colorado, like David Dahl. He's now going to be a sleeper for like the third or fourth
He'll
year
be
in a
a
row.
breakout technically because remember breakouts and sleepers I think are ADP driven.
Okay, my mistake. But yeah, the fact that runs aren't included does devalue both of them. I think
yes.
Bertie more than Hampson because I looked and 7 major league players this year. I think this was in one of the articles I wrote. Scored more than half the time they were on. So take your number of hits, walks, and hit by pitch, and then have runs and take runs and divide that by that number. Only 7 players scored at a clip of more than 50% of the time they were on base, and Birdie was one of them. So it's sort of a random stat, probably a lucky stat that's driven based off of your teammates.
So wait, real quick, take that stat away. He plays for the Marlins. That's like,
you're right.
Like that's that simple. Like you're saying it's random. Not only is it random, but it happened while playing on the Marlins. So it's almost more than likely to not he's more than likely not to reproduce that run scored rate.
I agree. So yeah, I agree.
I can be. I'm like I said. It goes back to I'm fine with you letting go Birdie. It's not, and again, he's 20. I didn't realize he's 29 years old. I looked him up last night. He's 29 years old. He didn't just break out. This isn't the Cardinals. The Cardinals find these players, not the Marlins. There might be playing time for him. It depends on the depth, and I think he's multi-positional eligible, so I can understand keeping him for $10. I don't think he would go for more than that, even an NL only keeper, like with the caps and all that. It'd be hard. I can understand, again, it need based. If you need speed, you need somebody with a couple positions of eligibility. I think he has. He's worth keeping, but I think I wouldn't pay more than $10 for him. I couldn't envision it, man. But Hampson for sure.
To me, the answer to this question comes down to something that I can't answer. One, do you keep these players for $10? If these players, both of them, are going to play more than 5 times a week, more than 5 out of 7 games, then yes, they're worth the $10 in an NL format. If they're going to be part-time players, probably not. Like I don't know the answer to either of Hampson or Birdie. Are they going to be relatively full-time players next year?
No, because the Rockies are going to sign some 38-year-old second baseman to play.
The Rockies going to sign Brian Dozier next year, and then Brian Dozier's going to get all the playing time, and then forget about Hampson.
It's ridiculous what they do over there. And but see, that's the thing. But platoon, or maybe they're on the strong. Hopefully, they're on the strong side of a platoon because a strong side of platoon is valuable in NL only. I have a hard time saying these guys are not worth the money right now. As of right now, I'm keeping both, but I have way higher expectations for Hampson. I guess that's what I was trying to ultimately say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well.
And you have a better gauge of. He also has a better gauge of his league. If he sees potentially who's going to be dropped and wants to try to take the $10 and reallocate it, that's also something he has to do. But he has to take a good look. He has to take a good, long, hard look at his league to see what potentially is going to be available before making that decision of is it worth taking the gamble and reallocating this $10.
$10 is not that much, and man, I've played in an only league once. I don't know if you have, but they're tough, man. Like the first year I played, Delino DeShields was $20 for me, and like Hampson brings the same stolen base capabilities.
That's kind of what I'm getting at is you have to see what is it really worth chasing what's going to be available. Because if not, Birdie for $10 might just be his going rate. That might just be what he is because of especially chasing steals in an NL only league. I can imagine. I got invited and I'm actually playing my first NL only league this year, 10-teamer though. So.
Oh, nice! Congrats. Yeah, that should be fun. It's maybe a different experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually make a top 150 ranks for him for NL only. So that's gonna be kind of cool. Last question. This is the longest drawn out thing for 13 questions. Lucky number 13 at Jay Flesher. That sounds like a good time. 5x5 roto can keep 9 max. He already is keeping a good amount. So he's already keeping Jordan Alvarez, Verlander. And people keep saying, if people wonder why am I calling him Jordan, because apparently Jordan came out and said his name is pronounced Jordan. So it's Jordan Alvarez, Verlander, Greinke, Springer, VR. So he's keeping those 5. He needs 4 more keepers out of these names. It's going to be out of Thor, Eddie Rosario, Trey Mancini, Josh Donaldson, Eduardo Escobar, Nelson Cruz, Erod, and Darvish. For me, I'm going to just cut out Erod. Erod's already out of it for me. And Eduardo Escobar, people don't realize how lucky he was last year. And then it comes down to 4 out of 6 for me. So do you have an easy 4 for you, or?
It's not easy for me, but I'll tell you that this team, I don't like this team. Like this is not a team I would typically draft because it's a lot of older guys in a keeper league. But my strategy looking at this team, if I were to take this team over, this team's got one last kick of the can, and then after that, you're going to have to revamp, maybe 1 or 2 years. So I'm just going to go with the best players. I'm going to take Donaldson. I'm going to take Nelson Cruz, who is on 0 of my teams, Darvish, and Thor. Those are my 4 because you know what? I just want to win it this year and then sell off.
And I totally get that, but I think I'm going to let Nelson – I love Nelson Cruz. I think it's awesome, but, I have to look him up real quick. I was such a big Eddie Rosario guy, and Eddie Rosario got off to like a crazy start, if I remember correctly, and then he got hurt. I don't think he was ever the same again. But in 5x5, I think there's a lot to be had there. I understand, and he's only 28 years old. So I don't know, man. I have a hard time letting go of a guy who, him even with the injury, and he had under 600 at bats, hitting top 3 in the Twins lineup, had 32 home runs, 109 RBIs, and he hit 276. In 5x5, he's way more valuable because his OBP is terrible because he walks 5% or less every time, but he doesn't strike out. The guy just never strikes out. So I'm leaning Rosario, especially because it's a keeper, over Nelson Cruz, because Nelson Cruz could very well. I know it's not likely, but he could fall off finally at the age of, I think it's 38, his age 38 season.
Oh, I think he's older than that. I think he might be 39 this year already. Next year he's going to be 40. So
yeah, I'm okay. I can understand Donaldson because again, I understand. I'm actually with you about the going for it because his the aging pitchers.
Yeah, he's got 1 or 2 years left with this squad. Then his team's going to be real bad.
And I think Darvish is the way to go because I think he's the best pitcher of these. Thor, I'm so down on, but you gotta keep him because he has the most, at least he has good trade value. You take Thor, you take Darvish. I would take Rosario, and then I'm torn between Donaldson and Mancini. I think you go with Donaldson and just hope that Donaldson has one more good year in him, see where he goes. But
Donaldson's actually my number 1 out of everyone.
See, I have a hard time because of his age. Because you have Mancini, who's 27 years old and appears to have found something going on. Like his K rate dropped, his walk rate jumped, and those are things you want to see go in that direction. He hit for 290 with 35 bombs. I'm taking Mancini over Donaldson. I'm taking the youth over the age. So for me, you are actually pretty far. Other than you, Darvish, and Thor, we don't agree. This is the first time we don't agree. I'm taking.
So who you're taking Mancini and Rosario?
I'm going. Yeah, they're youth. It's the youth. They're both in their 20s. Donaldson's 33, 34, and Cruz is 40. And yes, I understand the window is closing for this team, especially with Verlander and Greinke as his aces. But if that's the case, if it's closing, I look at it. Well, I don't want to completely shut. Maybe he can retool, or these guys have more trade value because they're younger.
Yeah, you know what? Like in a vacuum, I do agree that I'd rather have Rosario and Mancini. Well, not over Donaldson, but yes, over Nelson Cruz. Even though I'm sticking with Nelson Cruz and Donaldson, but I'm thinking this is a 1 or 2 year window match with this team, and that's not even a stretch. This team is going to fall off quick. So once that happens, I'm going to be left with Rosario and Mancini on a team that's rebuilding. And what value are these 4th or 5th or 6th round players? You're not going to really get much trade value in terms of no one's going to give you a top prospect for those guys. So what use are they?
I understand that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just more concerned of the age 34 Donaldson because I just looked up. He's going to be 34 next year, it looks like.
Yeah, and he's injury prone.
Donaldson, he's coming off his first healthy year in years, and and that was in the NL. I don't know, man. And he's not a batting average guy. He don't get me wrong, the power is real. He's going to be a 30 to 40 bomb guy, no questions asked, 100 RBIs. I think I'm willing to take the chance. I think the reason why I'm more likely to take Rosario and Mancini is because they offer similar power, a little less, but they offer higher batting averages, and and at least Rosario offers a little speed, and that's where the difference is for me. It's not like in a redraft, and strictly a redraft, I'm probably gonna take Donaldson over Mancini, but even then I'm not sure because the Mancini is really showing some growth, and again he's only 27, and plays for a team.
I didn't have any shares in Mancini, so I didn't really keep
Either did I. I just looked him up the last couple of days, man. So
yeah, so I didn't realize how strong he came on the second half.
Yeah, well, he had a good first half. He had a good first like month and a half. Then he like completely died off, and then he just came back and took off in the second half.
Right, and it is only 5x5, so Donaldson doesn't get any of his on base. I
did it.
No. I'm sticking with Donaldson, even though it's a 5x5 roto. He's going to score a lot of runs. He's going to get a lot of RBIs.
Well, it depends. He's also a free agent. Where does he go?
True, but I don't know.
There's a lot. See, so at the end of the day, we're going to end it like this. We both agree. Thor and Darvish, you keep them. I want Eddie Rosario and Trey Mancini. You want Josh Donaldson, Nelson Cruz. We stated our reasons. Sorry, buddy. We tried. We're split on 2 out of your last 2. We're split on your last 2 keepers, but
I'd say the advice is if you're going to stay in your league, go with Mike. And if you're going to just ditch if you're going to go for it and bail, go with what I said.
Well, we never recommend that, but it's a harsh reality to what happens, unfortunately. Right. That's it, Zach. We did it, man. This definitely went longer than anticipated, but there was a lot of information, a lot of stuff that I think is going to help more than just the few, just the guys that we addressed their questions. And man, if people want to reach out, you can follow us on Twitter at Mike_Curlin. That's me. Zach, you are at Zach Roto. There's no underscores or anything funky, right? Just Zach Roto.
That's right.
DACK, not CH. There's a lot of CHs out there.
Yeah, they're all wrong.
If you have your keeper questions, I mean, we love answering all questions. So anything, but keeper questions, throw them at us, man, or lady. Sorry. Again, we appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.